at the moment.
And yet, I suppose it shows, with all the police efforts, with all the authorities' efforts, London is a target which is readily available to terrorists from what we've seen today.
Well, clearly London is a symbolic location. It is going to be a target for terrorists. Both the current Commissioner, Sir Ian Blair, and the former Commissioner have said that. And at the end of the day, there has to be a balance between people's civil liberties and the prevention of terrorism. We believe that we've got that balance right, but unfortunately, we cannot make the capital 100% secure.
Metropolitan Police Deputy Assistant Commissioner Brian Paddick, thank you very much indeed.
Well, the Metropolitan Police, amongst others, will be trying to make the capital as safe as they possibly can for the weekends. Indeed,
breaking away from Sky TV right now, President Bush is walking out of the area where they're holding that G8 summit in Gleneagles, Scotland. We just heard from Prime Minister Tony Blair a short time ago. He obviously condemning the attack, and he said that they will not allow violence to change the societies or values, nor allow it to stop the work of the summit. But the Prime Minister is heading back to London right now, and President Bush staying at the G8 summit, but he is going to make an announcement right now.
He was over Tony Blair's shoulder. Now he's front and center. Here's the president.
I spent some time recently with the Prime Minister, Tony Blair. I had an opportunity to express our heartfelt condolences to the people of London, people who lost lives. I appreciate Prime Minister Blair's steadfast determination, his strength. He's on his way now to London, here from the G8, to speak directly to the people of London. He'll carry a message of solidarity with him. This morning I've been in contact with our Homeland Security folks. I instructed them to be in touch with local and state officials about the facts of what took place here in London, and to be extra vigilant as our folks start heading to work. You know, the contrast between what we've seen on the TV screens here, what's taking place in London and what's taking place here is incredibly vivid to me. On the one hand, you got people here who are working to alleviate poverty, to help rid the world of the pandemic of AIDS. They're working on ways to have a clean environment. And on the other hand, you got people killing innocent people. And the contrast couldn't be clearer between the intentions and the hearts of those of us who care deeply about human rights and human liberty, and those who kill, those who've got such evil in their heart that they will take the lives of innocent folks. This is the war on terror goes on. I was most impressed by the resolve of all the leaders in the room. Their resolve is as strong as my resolve, and that is we will not yield to these people. We will not yield to the terrorists. We will find them, we will bring them to justice, and at the same time we will spread an ideology of hope and compassion that will overwhelm their ideology of hate. Thank you very much.
You still say that the war is...
There's the president, firm in his determination.
But does it mean that the other people there at the G8 will become more firm in their determination?
Well, obviously,
we have seen the waffling all over Europe.
Well, let me answer that. Be talking about this as soon as he gets back into that building. Well, let me answer that question. There's a report here and a statement from an Islamic website, the group of the secret organization of Al-Qaeda Jihad in Europe, and they say basically this is payback for Britain's support of Israel, support the Iraq war and an Afghanistan war. They say look out the Danish and look out the Italians, that if you don't pull out of Iraq, you're next. So if people don't think that it involves them, they're wrong.
Danish, Italian, and all Crusader governments will get the same punishment unless they will withdraw their troops from Iraq and Afghanistan.
Well, Mark Ginsburg is listening to all of this.
Former ambassador to Morocco.
And Fox News Foreign Affairs contributor. Mark, why the Italians and the Danes?
Because they happen to be one of the major parties that have troops on the ground in Iraq. As you know, the President of the United States, on his way to Glen Eagles, Judge, traveled to Copenhagen.
Mark, we're going to interrupt you. The President's at the microphones again.
Steadfast determination, his strength. He's on his way now to London, here from the G8 to speak directly to the people of London. We'll carry a message of solidarity with him. This morning I've been in contact with our Homeland Security folks.
You know what? That is that's not live, so excuse the bug right there. That is a tape of what the president just said, apparently from a different camera angle. As you can see, we're sort of flipping through the various channels that are available to us being fed in, and trying to get the very latest video and information for you.
Ambassador Ginsburg, you were explaining to us why the Italians and the Danes have been mentioned in this insidious statement by some al-Qaeda group as possibly the next targets.
Well, Judge, as was saying, the President of the United States, on his way to Glen Eagles, Scotland, had made a specific stop in Copenhagen to thank the Danish people for their support, continuing support in Iraq. Obviously, also, Prime Minister Berlusconi has been under enormous pressure because of the troops that the Italian troops are in Iraq and that have supporting the United States efforts. And also, Edie and Judge and Brian, you may recall that just about 3 months ago, Abu Massad al-Zarqawi, the chief terrorist...
Ambassador, let me pick it up on Zarqawi's statement because it's extremely important, but so is the London mayor, who's meeting with the press right now.
During the Friday rush hour. And so the plan that followed from that exercise is being executed today, and with remarkable efficiency and courage. And I praise those staff who are doing that. I like to thank Londoners for the calm way they have responded to this cowardly attack, and echo the advice of Sir Ian Blair, the Commissioner of Police. Do not travel. Take the advice of the police, stay at home, wait if you are not at home until you hear over the radio or television the advice of the police about how you will proceed to get home later today. I have no doubt whatsoever that this is a terrorist attack, as has been claimed. We did hope in the first few minutes after hearing of the events on the Underground that it might simply be a maintenance tragedy. That was not the case. I have been able to stay in touch through the very excellent communications that were established for the eventuality that I might be out of the city at the time of the terrorist attack, and they have worked with remarkable effectiveness. And I will continue to be in touch until I board the plane that takes me back to London in the next few hours. I want to say one thing, specifically to the world today. This was not a terrorist attack against the mighty and the powerful. It was not aimed at presidents or prime ministers. It was aimed at ordinary working-class Londoners, black and white, Muslim and Christian, Hindu and Jew, young and old. Indiscriminate attempt to slaughter, irrespective of any considerations for age, for caste, for religion, whatever. That isn't an ideology. It isn't even a perverted faith. It is just indiscriminate attempt at mass murder. And we know what the objective is. They seek to divide Londoners. They seek to turn Londoners against each other. I said yesterday to the IOC, this city of London is the greatest in the world because everybody lives side by side in harmony. And Londoners will not be divided by this cowardly attack. They will stand together in solidarity around those who have been injured, those who have been bereaved. And that is why I'm proud to be the mayor of that city. Finally, I wish to speak through you directly to those who came to London today to take life. I I know that you personally do not fear to give your own life in exchange for taking others. It is why you are so dangerous. But I know you do fear that you may fail in your long-term objective to destroy our free society. And I can show you why you will fail. In the days that follow, look at our airports, look at our seaports, and look at our railway stations. And even after your cowardly attack, you will see that people from the rest of Britain, people from around the world, will arrive in London to become Londoners and to fulfill their dreams and achieve their potential. They choose to come to London, as so many have come before, because they come to be free, they come to live the life they choose, they come to be able to be themselves. They flee you because you tell them how they should live. They don't want that. And nothing you do, however many of us you kill, will stop that flight to our cities, where freedom is strong and where people can live in harmony with one another. Whatever you do, however many you kill, you will fail.
The words of Ken Livingstone, taped a short while ago in Singapore. He's now, we understand, on his way back towards London. No doubt will make further statements when he's visited some of these areas of devastation.
Well, I'll tell you what,
today.
that was one of the most powerful statements I have heard from any leader, let alone the mayor of London. And I think he's absolutely right. You know, as we have now been watching this for the past 2 or so hours, the folks in London are coming out. They are not panicking. They are not, running. There's not chaos in the streets, and that's why people will fail. You can throw all these suicide bombers,
right,
at us, at the Brits, at the Australians, at anybody else, in our mindset, and we're not going to fail. You're going to fail. Because we will continue.
The IRA failed, Germans failed, centuries have failed, every other major nation has failed. This is a major city and a major metropolis with a prime minister.
Together.
True, with a prime minister who's nothing else, is an incredible leader, with someone on the scene right now just trying to, in the midst of some of the chaos, is Tadek Murkowski. He's a producer there right near Russell Square, where I understand there's still quite a bit of drama.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I'm looking down the street right now at what can only be described as a chaotic scene. I mean, it looks like life was just frozen at the time of this explosion in this bus. I can see the bus through the trees, and the roof is gone. The poles which people would hang on to whilst taking that busy commuter are sticking out of the top of that bus, and in front of it is just a pile of debris. I mean, and probably the worst visual is blood. I can see splattered against the British Medical Institute building, which is a very prestigious and old, lovely building, and it's been tainted by this explosion this morning.
Yeah, obviously, and then you have the side of the exploding bus where the eyewitnesses have said that the whole roof was entirely blown off. Have you heard anything about whether it was a suicide bomber or not?
That is the latest rumor going around, that it was in fact a suicide bomber, but it's been very difficult to confirm that. I can tell you that there are a number of forensic police down there in the forensic uniforms that you'll see on TV, busily trying to get whatever evidence they can before the rain, which is coming down here in London, sort of washes that away and destroys clues as to who might have been responsible for this particular attack.
The AP is saying that British police have been able to confirm the presence of explosive substances, some sort of explosive material at 2 of the attack sites today. Now, Tadek, we're talking about the reaction of the Londoners. As you are in the street and looking at the scene, explain to us, describe for us just the way people are conducting themselves. Are they panicked? Are they running?
No, they're not running and they're not panicked. I mean, they're certainly very curious, I guess, is a word that you might use. They're coming to the end of the street, they're looking down there, and they're turning away from that very macabre scene with fixed jaws and being rather silent and somber, as you'd imagine. They're just turning away from what was a very brutal act and then going back to their lives. There's no helter-skelter panic, as you might think, but the police have everyone cordoned off and they're controlling the crowds, and people are coming down, taking a look and walking away. And I think they have that image of this bus fixed in their mind with the debris across the street and the cars that are in its way the cars that must have been passing or nearby the bus when it blew have just stopped in the place where they were. The doors are open, and those people have obviously just fled for their lives, and they're taking a look at that and walking away.
Listen to this. Now, contrast that with what's on an Islamic website taking credit for the blast. This is a heroic mujahideen conducted a blessed attack in London, and you see Britain right now burning from fear, terror, and panic in the north, south, east, and west. True or false?
False, I think. Definitely false. People can see this for what this is. It's an act that's meant to draw attention away from the G8. It's meant to sort of take the gloss off London's win and the 2012 Olympics. It's an act that's meant to sort of put the focus back on terror and the wars that are being waged around the world with Muslims opposed to the Western powers and things like that, I guess. They're trying to steal the thunder, I guess, of London in terms of the Olympic bit and in terms of, you know, people sort of getting on with their day-to-day lives. And I don't think that you would describe this scene as panicked.
Tadek, before we let you go, it's nearly 2 o'clock in the afternoon on London. In the area where you are, have shops reopened? Have banks opened? Have people gone back to work?
Well, to put it in a personal note, my girlfriend, who takes either this bus or another bus every day to work, has just texted me to say that her shop, which is very near this area, only blocks away, has closed, and that she's heading home by whatever means she can find. And I'm guessing that's what's going to happen with a lot of other shops, that, you know, businesses are going to shut down and people are going to move out of that area because it is the business part of town. On the weekends, it's not so popular because, you know, it's where people do business. And so I'm guessing that due to the cordons that have been put up around this area, businesses will shut up shop and go home. But I think tomorrow they'll be back and the streets will be open and the investigation will really begin to crank up.
All right, Tadek, thank you very much. Let's go to Bob Sellers right now to get an update on what has occurred this morning in London.
Bob? Bob's down in Studio N, and he's been able to compile exactly the latest because we're getting different reports on how many bomb sites and what is going on.
Talking about a confirmed number of 3 in the Tube, their subway system, and 1 in a bus. And we've shown video of that bus where we understand at least a couple people have been killed, and there have been scores of injuries throughout central London. President Bush, of course, at the G8 summit in Scotland, along with the other leaders, Tony Blair having left to go back to London. The president spoke moments ago and had this to say about making the point that contrast couldn't be more clear between those who care for liberty and those who kill and have evil in their heart and take the lives of innocents. But he says that we will find and bring to justice those people and at the same time spread the compassion of justice. He says we will not yield to these people, to these terrorists. So again, the president staying in London. There's a look at the double-decker double-decker bus that was attacked this morning. And from their home Secretary Charles Clarke, we know that there have been at least 3 attacks in the subway and 1 on that bus. We've seen reports, as you know, these come across, and we've seen up to 7 attacks in central London, all this still coming in. We know that the buses have been stopped in central London, that the trains are not running. They say the airports are operating normally. And we have seen reaction coming in from throughout the world, condemning, as Pope Benedict did, condemning these attacks as barbaric acts against humanity. The U.S. Olympic Committee, of course, you can imagine Tony Blair going from the elation of hosting the 2012 Games, the announcement yesterday, to this occurrence, these terrorist attacks. The U.S. Olympic Committee has said that they still have full confidence in London as a host for the Olympics in 2012. Again, President Bush in Scotland. He will remain there, at least at this point, and Prime Minister over in London. He is expected to return tonight. Just a comment, if you're watching, we've seen them be stable over the past hour, but the financial markets have been significantly weaker after these attacks, both in London as well as in the futures markets. The market not opening now for another 40 minutes, opens 9:30 East Coast time, but they have kind of stabilized where they are. We will continue to follow this story as you are there on Fox and Friends. Edie, Judge Brian.
Thanks. We know that people are watching and are confused. Believe me, we understand that. We're trying to get you the best and most accurate information. But there are differing versions coming from the credible British authorities. Scotland Yard is reporting there have been 7 explosions. Scotland Yard is saying that. According to the Metropolitan Police, there have been at least 6. So those two are pretty close. But then, according to the AP is saying that 3 explosions hit the subway and 1 hit a bus. Only 4 explosions. So when Bob told you 4 were confirmed, that is according to the AP. But both Scotland Yard and the Metropolitan Police are suggesting that it was 7. If you take a look at the map that we have, it shows you the sites that have been reported. First starting at 8:49 at the Metropolitan line between Liverpool and Aldgate, and then another one at 9:33 at Edgware Road.
Right.
About 11 minutes later, at 3 spots, King's Cross, Old Street, and Russell Square Tube. I'm not sure what this map shows you. I think that's a map in progress.
Basically the sites that you were talking about give you some relevance. But I would say this, one thing that has been confirmed, and it's showing the drama there, but underground there's a rescue operation because,
still going on.
Edie, as you pointed out, that it's so harrowing to be caught in between subway stops, period, if you lose power, and I have, let alone after an explosion, and that's what they're in the process of doing. We want to get updated on what's happening inside what Londoners call the Tube.
Let's listen to Sky News.